I've been part of a team that's gone on to win 3 in a row. It's crazy really, and you kind of forget about it sometimes.
Like all the guys that I played with growing up through the years, like we're all still friends and everything. So it really is like it's a good family sense and a good community sense.
We had won an All-Ireland in 97, 99, 2000. It's more local at your club. You know everyone, you know the setup. It's different than joining a county panel.
It was nearly like a kind of statement to say, we're here, we're ready to play. No one's going to push us over this year.
This podcast is sponsored by Declan Kirby GAA Star. Declan Kirby GAA Star is a children's GAA book written by primary school teacher and GAA coach Michael Egan. Follow the trials and tribulations of Declan Kirby and his team at Smithgreen Gaelic Football Club. The book is a very good read for any parents who are looking to get their children involved in Gaelic games. The book is available in Easons, Lidl and all good bookshops. It's also available to download on Amazon, so make sure to go and check it out. They're very good supporters of the channel and the page, so you'd certainly be doing me a good favour as well if you went ahead and checked the book out. So I do very much appreciate it. The link is in the description down below, and let's get straight into it. Yes, what's happening everyone? Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I hope the form is good, and this is the Club Talk preview show for this weekend's action happening in both football and hurling. We're going to be running through all the big games, all the big talking points in both football and hurling. We are going to be focusing specifically mainly on hurling today, with the fact that we have a number of crunch games happening this weekend in the All-Ireland Club Hurling Championships. We have a replay in Tipperary. Loughmore Castellini are going up against Turles Sarsfields in the Tipperary Senior Hurling Championship final replay, and we also have a number of big crunch games happening in the Leinster Club Senior Hurling Championship and in the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship as well. So I'll be running through those games. There is one big game to talk about in football as well, as Mountbellew Moylough will take on Padraig Pearses in the first of the Connacht Club Senior Football Championship semi-finals. We'll leave the football action to a little bit towards the end of the video. I'll leave the time of when the football action starts, so you can skip ahead if you're here just for the football action. Anyways, let's crack on with the action. Let's crack on with the hurling action. We'll start off with the last remaining county final in the All-Ireland Club Senior Hurling Championships, so to say, and that is in Tipperary. It's a replay between Turles Sarsfields and Loughmore Castellini. Huge game, no doubt about it, for these two. Loughmore Castellini coming in on the back, they'll be buzzing after that football win, after they beat Clonmel Commercials in the final, with John McGrath scoring the last minute goal. I mean, maybe we should start calling him John McGoat, in all honesty, because he is the GOAT of Loughmore Castellini, and he's probably the GOAT of Tipperary at the minute, because the man can seem to do no wrong. He's been man of the match, I think, in both football and hurling 6 times in a row. I mean, that is just absolutely extraordinary. You know, there should be some sort of reward for him, in all honesty, for everything that he's given to Loughmore Castellini and to Tipperary, not just in the past couple of weeks, but all year and over the past couple of years, because he seems to give so much. He really, really does. And I suppose this is the big one, isn't it? I mean, they won the football, they got the monkey off the back, but they've obviously been gunning for this hurling championship as well, as we've been saying before. Like, they lost last year in dramatic fashion to Kildangan, and now coming up against Turles Sarsfields, who they obviously drew with a couple of weeks ago. Is the engine ever going to run out? Are they going to run out of gas? You know, is the fuel going to run out at some stage? And, you know, because you're going week in, week out, you know, you have to think at some point that those lads are going to burn out. They're going to be tired, they're going to be leggy, and maybe Turles Sarsfields will just have that extra 10 to 15%. But I honestly don't know what these lads are made of. I don't know what they're eating. I'd love to know what it is, because they just don't seem to get tired. They don't seem to run out of energy. And actually, as a matter of fact, they seem to get better as the game goes on. And that was the case in the football final last week. And that was actually the case in the drawn game against Turles Sarsfields. They looked down and out. They were trailing by 6 points early in the second half, and then they fought tooth and nail to turn it around. The likes of John McGrath hitting a couple of wonder scores, Noel McGrath with a couple of sidelines as well. And the McGraths or the McGoats, or whatever you really want to call them, were covering so much areas of the pitch. John Marr and Brian McGrath might be injured coming into this. I did see that Brian McGrath didn't want to give too much away in his post-match interview when Loughmore Castellini got that win over Clonmel Commercials. You've got Dennis Maher on the edge of the square. He's the goal-getter. He's the man who's, catching on to the loose balls. He's the man in the right place at the right time. He scored 2-1 the last day. They'll certainly be trying to work the ball into Dennis Maher to get those goals and get into those right positions. And I suppose with players as well, like Paddy Creedon and Pa Burke and Ronan Maher in defence is a huge influence. You've got Adrian McCormick, who does a lot of the unseen work in behind that full forward line. So Thurles Sarsfields are coming into this as no mugs. Like, they are a great team, and they've been gunning in Tipperary for a while now. They knocked out the champions in Killadangan, so they'll certainly be buzzing. And are they coming into this game as favourites? I'm not sure. And to be perfectly honest, I really can't call this game at all. Like, I really can't. And I don't like sitting on the fence, but I kind of am for this one because I just don't know which way it's going to go. I feel like I've said on a number of different previous podcasts that at some stage the Lockmore Castellini engine is going to run out, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. Now that I'm saying it won't, it probably will, because that's what tends to happen in a lot of these previews. But it's going to be very intriguing. It's live on TG Cahir as well at 3:10 on Sunday. I'll certainly be watching the game, and I have a funny feeling this is going to go all the way to penalties. I really do, because that's kind of been the story for Lockmore Castellini over the past couple of years. Late goals, late drama, late points. And I could see this going the distance. I could see this going to extra time. I could see it being level after extra time. And how, you could just imagine a situation where it goes to penalties and up steps John McGrath and wins the penalty. That's the fairy tale. And a lot of the fairy tales seem to be coming true at the moment. So, you know what? I'm going to say Lockmore Castellini win this game. And I think they're going to win it on penalties. And moving on from that, we have the Leinster Club Senior Hurling Championship. We have 3 games to discuss here as Clua Ballacalla of Laois take on Rapparees. Ballyhale Shamrocks of Kilkenny, they will be taking on Mount Leinster Rangers of Carlow. And then we also have Kilmacud Crokes of Dublin taking on... who is it again? Raharney of Westmeath. Sorry, Raharney there. I'm always forgetting Westmeath. I don't mean to do that on purpose. But Rapparees and Clua Ballacalla live on RTE on Saturday. Hopefully I didn't say that name right of the Laois Hurling Champions. I do apologise if I did. Interesting that this game is on RTE. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little surprised that this is the game they're shown on RTE this weekend. I really would have felt that they would have probably shown Ballyhale Shamrocks against Mount Leinster Rangers. I feel like that would have been a cracking game. Or Ballyea against Ballygunner in the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship. So it's interesting that this is the game that they're shown. I'm not too sure exactly why that is. I suppose on the flip side of that, look, listen, I haven't seen too much of either of these two. I have seen Rapparees in that final over St. Anne's. I don't know a lot about Clua Ballacalla of Laois, in all honesty, but at least I will know a little bit more when the full-time whistle blows, because we'll get to see this game on RTE. And I suppose for Rapparees, look, listen, they're probably one of the most attacking teams coming into this game. I watched them against St. Anne's in the final. They won that game by 6-18 to 1-17. They're coming in on the back of a first Wexford County title since 1978. Clua Ballacalla, they're coming in on the back of back-to-back county titles over in Laois. But Rapparees are a very, very attacking team. The Raps have scored 16 goals in 5 games, and that probably puts things into perspective. They scored 6 goals in the county final, and they're coming in a little bit under the radar. They might be potential dark horses to go on a bit of a run in the Leinster Club Senior Hurling Championship. I mean, could I see them beating Ballyhale? Honestly, no. I honestly don't see anyone beating Ballyhale at this moment in time. Could they give Kilmacud Crokes a run for their money? Absolutely, and they could even turn them over. I mean, they have some players that can really carry the goal threat, and Lenny Connolly, Oisin Pepper, Ricky Fox, and of course guided by their captain in Kevin Foley, who's a notable inter-county star. So, Rapparees are a good team, and they're very well drilled, very well organised, very attacking style of hurling. There's no defensive structure about how they play. They play off the shoulder, they run off the shoulder, they play the running game, and they look to get in behind and take those chances and go for goals. And that's one thing you'll see in this game, is Rapparees love going for goals, and I could see them getting a couple of goals in this game. I don't know a lot about Clua Ballacalla in all honesty. Maybe the long layoff though will affect Rapparees, and that's the only kind of, I suppose, way you could probably look at them potentially losing this game, is they haven't played since September 19th. So their final was September 19th, the Wexford County final. That was nearly 2 months ago. Now, some of those players were playing football, but obviously the majority of them would have been waiting in the wings for this game. So it's a long layoff, it really is, and there could be an upset here. We see a lot of upsets from time to time in the in club hurling and club football. And I suppose for Clúth Ballyhale, I mean, one player who stands out for me anyway that I'd recognise is Willie Dunphy. He obviously plays for the county side. So look, I don't know a lot about Clúth Ballyhale. I'm going to go with Rapparees to win it by 6 points. This could be a disastrous prediction, and I could easily be eating my words when this game finishes. But I'm looking forward to it. Look, listen, it should be an intriguing game, and Rapparees have been one of the most exciting teams in hurling this year, one of the most exciting hurling clubs this year, and the fact that they're being broadcasted on live TV is probably why. So I'm looking forward to this game. Clúth Ballyhale versus Rapparees live on RTE on Saturday, and Rapparees for the win. And the other game, and one of the other games, like I was saying before, is Mount Leinster Rangers against Ballyhale Shamrocks. As I said before in the intro there, or just a few minutes ago, Ballyhale Shamrocks are the undeniable favourites, not just for this game, but for the All-Ireland. I mean, they are, like, without doubt, the #1 club team in hurling at the minute. I mean, you've got Adrian Mullen, Owen Cody, Colin Fennelly, Joey Holden, Owen Reid, and that's not to mention TJ Reid, who's probably one of the best hurlers in the country. I mean, I feel like that town must live and breathe hurling, because the amount of players that they've produced down the years, I mean, one would wonder how you can find so many good players from the one parish. I mean, Eddie Shefflin is another one, for example, who's obviously gone on to manage Galway. So it's incredible, really, what Ballyhale have done, and there might not be another town or another area that's produced as many top-class players as them, and then gone on to produce and win All-Irelands as well. So, and look, listen, they were pushed to the pin of their collar in that final against O'Loughlin Gaels. There was a time in that game where you felt like O'Loughlin Gaels might turn them over here, might get the victory. There was only 3 or 4 points in it, going down the home stretch, and O'Loughlin Gaels had a couple of goals. They led for, different parts of the game, and I suppose if there was a backdoor in the All-Ireland Club Senior Hurling Championship, maybe O'Loughlin Gaels would go on a bit of a run, and because of obviously the way it's structured, we don't know how far some of the other Kilkenny club teams would go, and maybe Ballyhale Shamrocks had their toughest tests coming through Kilkenny. We really don't know. It's going to be interesting, I suppose. But look, listen, Mount Leinster Rangers, they're no mugs in Carlow. I mean, like, they've won back-to-back titles now in Carlow, and you think back to 2014 when they came through Leinster, went all the way to the final. You've got the Nolan brothers in there, John and Chris Nolan, who will be 2 notable players from the Carlow team. And Carlow teams are always tough teams to play against, especially in hurling. They always make it tough, and obviously having come on past St Mullins in the final, who have a notable player in there in Marty Kavanagh, I've no doubt that Mount Leinster Rangers are going to give Ballyhale Shamrocks a bit of a test, but how good of a test that is, I'm not sure. Ballyhale Shamrocks just look levels above a lot of teams, and they've come through Kilkenny, and I mean, look, listen, could there be complacency? Could they be caught? They do look like they have a couple of defensive issues in there, like Joey Holden, for example, is getting older. Some of the other players are getting older in the back line, so they could be caught. I don't think it will be this game, though. I think if anyone's going to beat them, it could be Kilmacud Crokes or maybe Ballygunner. Just don't see how Mount Leinster Rangers are going to beat them in this game, in all honesty. It'll be a huge shock if it happens. So I'm going to go with Ballyhale Shamrocks to win this game. It is also worth noting as well that Mount Leinster Rangers, their final was back in September as well, so they've been waiting in the wings for this game for a while. I mean, to be fair, they've probably known it's going to be Ballyhale Shamrocks for quite a while. I think a lot of people always felt that, but yeah, I'm going to go with Ballyhale Shamrocks to get the victory by 8 points. And then we have Raharney of Westmeath versus Kilmacud Crokes, and as I said, I didn't mean to forget Raharney of Westmeath. I certainly won't forget them if they win this game. I mean, that would be a huge shock, wouldn't it, if they actually went and beat Kilmacud Crokes. And I suppose for Kilmacud Crokes, obviously one of the only teams at the time of this recording anyways to do the double in both football and hurling and double, or football and hurling in Dublin. I mean, not double, I mean, I'm mixing up my words a bit there. Is it a real double? Is it a true double? For me it is. I mean, look, listen, they don't have a lot of dual players as such as compared to a lot more Castellani. Brian Sheehy's probably one of the only notable players who plays for both the hurling and the footballers. I mean, for Raharney, as I said before, probably don't know a lot about them, but players who stick out for me are obviously Killian Doyle and Kieran Doyle. Killian Doyle has been top class for Westmeath over the last couple of years. He's been one of the top players that's performed year in, year out when they've been pushing for that Joe McDonagh Cup Championship, which they eventually got over the line in this year. Kieran Doyle scored probably one of the best points all year for Westmeath earlier in the year. So they have a lot of good players in there. I mean, we know the talents that Kilmacud Crokes have in the likes of Ronan Hayes and Oisin O'Rourke, and the way they overturned Na Fianna was very, very impressive. I mean, they do have a lot to work on, in my opinion. A few defensive issues there. The fact it took them 40 to 50 minutes to get into the game was a little bit worrying. They missed a couple of opportunities that you would have normally seen them score. Like, for example, would they have gotten away with that penalty miss and some of the other missed opportunities against a team like Ballyhale or Rapparees? I don't think they would have. I think those teams would have finished them off. I just think that because it was such a huge occasion for Na Fianna, they were literally about to win their first ever Dublin Senior Hurling Championship. There was a lot on the line for them going into those final few minutes, and I think Kilmacud Crokes capitalised massively on that and capitalised massively on the momentum, and Na Fianna's game plan kind of went out the window in many ways. That's not to take anything away from Kilmacud Crokes. I mean, it was a phenomenal turnaround. They're a team that, from what I've noticed about them, they just never seem to get tired at all. They just seem to keep running, keep closing down the space. Against Coola, they were absolutely fantastic, and they obviously were brilliant against Na Fianna in extra time as well when they went on to win the game. You could see from a mile away that they were going to win that game in extra time. They just had that extra spring in their step. You've also got a very experienced hurler in there, and Fergal Whiteley. He scored 1-1 the last day. Caelan Conway in midfield has done a good job over the past couple of seasons as well for Kilmacud Crokes. Lorcan McMullen in there as well. So they have a range of different scores. They have a range of talents. As I said before, don't know a huge amount about Raharney other than some of their notable players. And with those kind of players, I could see them causing a couple of problems for Kilmacud Crokes. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Crokes to get the victory. I think they'll do it by 5 points. Don't think there'll be a lot going down the home stretch, but I think Crokes, like, they have this in them to close out games brilliantly. They never seem to get tired. The engine always seems to be running. So, yeah, Crokes to win it by 5 points. And then you have Ballyea versus Ballygunner in the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship. And as I said before, very surprised that this game is not on TV. And I don't know who is picking up this game or who is streaming the game. But, I mean, for me, this is the game of the weekend in hurling. Like, it really is. I mean, you've got Ballygunner, this side, who are, like, they year in, year out, when the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship was on, obviously it wasn't on last year, but they consistently get into semi-finals, consistently get into finals. They've won, 8 championships in a row in Waterford. Like, so many talented players in there, like Padraig Pearses. They've added Desi Hutchinson to their ranks. But for whatever reason, they could just never seem to get out of this competition, even when they're heavy favourites. Against Boris Lee, for example, that final in 2019 springs to mind. And they're coming up against a Ballyea side that, for me, are going under the radar. I think a lot of people are very quick to dismiss Ballyea because of the fact that Tony Kelly is injured. But, you know, like we see in sport a lot of the time, sometimes you take out a star player, you take out a big name in the dressing room, you take out a big influence in the dressing room, and other people have to stand up, other people have to show what they're made of. And at the end of the day, it is Ballyea, it's the badge on the front that means more than the name on the back. And Tony Kelly is undoubtedly one of the best hurlers in the country, like, make no mistake about it. But there are other very good hurlers in there. And one thing that stands out for me is it's their first county championship in Clare since 2018. And Clare has a number of very, very good teams in there, like Sixmore Bridge and Ina Kilnamona, and a whole host of very talented hurling teams. Ballyea have come through the Clare Senior Hurling Championship without Tony Kelly. That is very impressive in my opinion. And some of the players that have stood up for Ballyea, Niall Daisy, Cathal O'Connor, Martin O'Leary, and as I said, they won their first championship since 2018. But they are going up against this Ballygunner side that will be favourites. Surely, like, when you look at some of the sides that are in the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship, the usual sort of, you know, All-Ireland favourites haven't pulled through. And the Pearses aren't in there, in Limerick. So there's a huge opportunity in my opinion. And Ballyea do have Tony Kelly injured. And as I said before, they've done really well without him. But I'm sure Ballygunner are much more happier that Tony Kelly is not going to be playing rather than if he was playing. And as I said, the Gunners cruised past Rowanmore in the final of the Waterford Senior Hurling Championship. They won the game by 227 to 13 points. And they look as good as ever, winning 8 titles in a row. Desi Hutchinson, Padraig Pearses and Cormac Power has been a good option coming off the bench. So whilst I think it's not correct in my opinion to completely dismiss Ballyea because they don't have their star man, I would look at Ballygunner as surely the side that are going to get over the line. Personally, are they going to win the Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship? I have a funny feeling they might get caught by Kilmallock. I think they're going to be a side that's going to go under the radar and potentially cause a surprise or two. But I think they'll win this game. I think they'll win it by 4 points. I think they have enough there. I think the addition of Desi Hutchinson, like, let's not forget, he wasn't a part of Ballygunner's side the last time they played in a Munster Club Senior Hurling Championship, because he was obviously away playing soccer with Brighton, I think it was. So he's a huge addition. No, like, absolutely, like, make no mistake about it. He is a huge addition to that team, and he will make that team better, especially in these games. So I think they'll win the game, Ballygunner, by 4 points. I think Ballyea could potentially pull off the upset here. It's not impossible, but I'm going to go with Ballygunner for the victory. Okay, we'll move on to the football action, and as I said before, just one game to discuss this weekend. Mountbellew Moylough are going up against Padraig Pearses. Mountbellew Moylough of Galway, Padraig Pearses of Roscommon. The only football game that is taking place this weekend, and it is in the Connacht Club Senior Football Championship semi-finals. And well, actually, now that I think about it, there's two games actually taking place this weekend. There is the Cork final, but you might have already seen already, I did in fact upload a preview of the Cork Senior Football final with Matthew Hurley of the GAA Statsman podcast. So yeah, you'll see it on screen there. Just click into the most recent videos on the channel and you will find it there. So we won't discuss it in this game because we discussed it in depth for about 20 minutes to half an hour. Mountbellew Moylough versus Padraig Pearses, first of all. I mean, Mountbellew, they're coming into this with, I suppose, a bit of a scare, wasn't it, against Ballinamore Sean O'Heslins. They just about avoided the scare. 3 weeks on the bounce now since they beat Corofin, and then straight away a week later Ballinamore Sean O'Heslins, and then a week after that here we go against Padraig Pearses. Padraig Pearses are going to be a tough test, in my opinion, because they're a defensive team in some respects. They make it very difficult. Roscommon club football has been very good over the past couple of years. Usually teams that come through Roscommon tend to go on a bit of a run and be dark horses. You're thinking of St. Bridget's, for example, back when they won the All-Ireland. And Padraig Pearses made the Connacht final, actually, the last time they came through the Connacht Club Senior Football Championship, which was actually the last Connacht Club Senior Football Championship, with the fact that we didn't have one last year. And whilst Mountbellew Moylough are one of the favourites to not just win this game but win the All-Ireland, there are vulnerabilities in there. They conceded 2 goals in that game versus Ballinamore Sean O'Heslins. And look, listen, they looked a little bit out of shape at different times at the back, and certainly Ballinamore caused them a couple of problems. And if they're not careful, Padraig Pearses could cause them a couple of problems as well. Padraig Pearses have their own set of dailies as well, just like Mountbellew Moylough, who have the likes of Michael Daly and Val Daly as their manager. But Padraig Pearses have their own set of dailies. They've Niall Daly, Conor Daly, 2 players who've been very, active with the county side over the past couple of years. And they do rely quite heavily on their corner forward, Paul Carey. I suppose the main reasons why I do think Mountbellew will win this game is, do Padraig Pearses have enough in attack to hurt Mountbellew Moylough? And I think the fact that Mountbellew Moylough came through that scare, they might have learned quite a bit from that, in my opinion. Padraig Pearses has been waiting in the wings for a while now for this game. They would have been expecting it to be the Galway champions, because the Galway champions would have been the favourites against Ballinamore Sean O'Heslins regardless. I mean, it was a big learning curve for Mountbellew Moylough, and I mean, they do have the talent in there to win this game. We've spoke about it a number of times before, and Owen Finnerty and Barry McHugh, Barrett in the midfield, Shane Moran in there as well, Michael Daly doing a lot of the unseen work. So I think Mountbellew Moylough are just about going to squeeze through. I think this might even go to extra time. I have a funny feeling they could even lose this game, because this is the type of game they could lose. And I suppose for Mountbellew Moylough, like, what they need now, like, when they were coming through Galway, like, they were probably the underdogs against Moycullen. They were probably the underdogs against Corofin. They used to be the underdogs in Galway. Now they have the favourites tag, and that's different. You know, when you have a target on your back, it's just different. It really, really is. And I think we've seen Ballinamore Sean O'Heslins raise their game an extra 10 to 15% when they played Mountbellew Moylough, and we could see Padraig Pearses doing the same. So that's going to be something to deal with for Mountbellew Moylough. They're going to be the favourites, probably in the Connacht final as well if they come through this game. So that's something they're going to have to deal with. But I think they do. I think the fact that they turned that around against Ballinamore, who are no mugs, by the way, like, they're a good team. I'm going to go with Mountbellew Moylough to squeeze through this game in extra time, maybe by 1 or 2 points. I do think it'll be low scoring. I think Padraig Pearses are quite a defensive team, and I don't really think this game will be a great watch, in all honesty. And I don't think there'll be much in it. And I think maybe 1 or 2 points. But yeah, I'm going to go with Mountbellew Moylough to just about squeeze through this game. But yeah, anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Do let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this video. Your predictions for this weekend's action in both hurling and football. Yeah, I'll see you all on Monday for the club review show, and there will be also a couple of match reactions out for a couple of the games happening this weekend as well. So stay tuned for all the action, stay tuned for all the videos coming soon. My name is Aaron, and I'll see you all in the next one.